Hello, this is Chris Parker with the Business Simplicity Podcast, and I just had a conversation with Stephen Koopmans, the CEO and Managing Director of Boombrush, which is the sustainable subscription toothbrush company based in the Netherlands and serving Europe. And we talked about not only the product and the business model, but also his leadership journey and how he's interacting and supporting and engaging, with his staff while meeting the needs of his shareholders. So, Steve, why would this be really valuable for people to listen to it?
Well, first of all, thanks, Chris. I think that it's valuable because we got to speak about the things that are going behind the scenes, in terms of why are we doing this toothbrush startup thing, but also why are we leading from love and how are we leading, and how are we making that work for us. So it was a stimulating conversation, and I believe that it could benefit other maybe leaders, other leaders benefit me.
The Business Simplicity Podcast, where we learn about strategies and tactics to succeed through simplicity, with your host, Chris Parker.
And welcome back to the Business Simplicity Podcast. This is Chris Parker, and I'm having a conversation with Steve Koopmans, who is the MD, the Managing Director of Boombrush. And Steve and I met at a place which is a bit unusual for me, which is at a football or soccer event. We were having a brunch at the Almere City Business Club, and we got to talking. And I was so fascinated and enthralled by Steve's not only energy, but also the product, the Boombrush product that we're going to talk about a little bit. And so what I'm really looking forward to is unpacking why does the world need, let's call it a renewable, sustainable subscription toothbrush. Let's unpack that a little bit, and then also go into Steve's personal journey, like how did he end up there and building this customer base, which has I think a couple tens of thousands around the world right now, and it's really growing like crazy. So Steve, first of all, welcome to the show. Thank you for showing up and sharing the story with us.
Well, thank you. It's my pleasure. I was really looking forward to our conversation.
Yeah, and before you tell the story of Boombrush, I'd like to tell my story of the Boombrush, because I have one here with me. So this is the Boombrush, and I was thinking maybe I should actually brush my teeth on on this. That would be a first. And
we could do it together. I've got them also.
Oh, you got the cool green one. And I love your LinkedIn photo as well, because your LinkedIn photos is you're basically brushing your teeth, and I'm going to use that as the photo for the episode as well. So, and it is a sonic brush, and my boys were just so excited and jealous because they were kind of using one of those old school Oral-B things. And let me just turn it on a little bit, and I think you can hear that it's got this really cool sonic dimension to it. I have signed up for, I think, the quarterly renewal of the brush heads that just pop right in and out. Also with the toothpaste. So maybe this was my sort of consumer approach. Just ordered it online. That went super well. So this was my experience. Now, Steve, tell me more about it. Like what did I just now miss? Because I think this was my sort of naive beginner introduction to the Boombrush concept.
Yeah, of course. Brushing your teeth we all do it. We do it normally twice a day. And then once every half a year, we go to the dentist, and that dentist tells us like you're doing well or you're doing not so well. And then we go back about what we are already doing. But this is a very important moment every day. It's the way you start your day. It's the way you end your day. So it could be a pivotal moment for how you make your day. And also there's a couple of problems here with that brushing your teeth, because normally the dentist will give you some answers on how you could better brush your teeth, and then you follow those very strictly for the next 9 days and go about with your life. So what we wanted to do is solve a couple of problems. So one of which is we want to be more in contact and making brushing your teeth a more important moment of your day. So that the dentist doesn't only have to give advice on what he should fill and drill, but can give advice on how you can maintain your own oral health, as your oral health is also, I would say, the mirror of your overall bodily health. And that's where the subscription comes in, because we saw that more than 45% of Dutch people are not replacing that brush head in time, and in time is within 3 months. So bacteria starts piling up in that brush head, and after 3 months, there's about 7.5 million bacteria in that brush head. Some of which are very good, so you need them, and they should be there. Some of which, though, have the risk of generating inflammation or deteriorating your teeth. So it's bad for your gums, it's bad for your teeth, and it's also bad for your internal health. So we wanted to find a easy, quick, and fun way to replace that thing on time. And then the last thing is that we saw all that plastic coming out of bathrooms, and it's going to your general waste or waste piles that we are building. Landfills are filling up, so we wanted to do something about it. And the plastics we use are high grade virgin plastics, which can easily have a second life as a couple of things. So we wanted to figure out how can we make this recyclable and not just put that on the packaging like a lot of big brands do, but actually feel responsible to do so. So we recycle our own brush heads.
And
so
the way you recycle it, because I've not gotten there yet, I think I'm probably coming up to my 3-month mark. That what I understand is the brush head will come in the mail, I guess,
yes,
with an envelope, and I just put the old one back in the envelope and ship it right back. Is that how this works?
Exactly. With one exception, is we ask you to save up a little because of the cost of sending, but also the environmental stamp of the sending.
Yeah.
So we ask you to save at least like 8 products. You can also put your paste and everything you buy with us. You can put it in that little bag and send it back to us for free. We save it up until we have a certain amount of kilos of recyclable material, and we build cool stuff with it. So we started making small little plates of which we can make furniture. And then we started figuring out further how we can make furniture. So we now actually, I'm sitting on a meeting room table, maybe I can show you later, that's made out of brush heads.
Whoa.
And then the next step's going to be that we want to have a conversation starter. So we want to have something that you would really love to put in your home, where your visitors would say, hey, that's cool, what is that? And then you say, well, that's my recycled brush heads. Because we want to really get that idea of all the material we're throwing away is still very valuable and interesting. We want to get that idea into the consumer's home. So we rethink the way we handle waste.
And there's something that also excited me when we were talking, that there's a lifetime warranty. Meaning essentially if it's going bad, I think as long as the subscription is still active, I understand. But what, like, to offer a lifetime warranty is quite brave, is it? And I'm wondering how, and in this time to make sure that you're not making planned obsolescence products and stuff. What's the strategy, and how do you achieve a lifetime warranty in still a economically sustainable way?
Well, you already shouted it, the planned obsolescence. So that's one of the things, and also then you have the substitution demand. So if you're a marketer, you will calculate demand, and after that demand there will be a substitution demand, and a good marketer makes sure that there's also a substitution demand. We don't calculate or strategize on substitution demand. We want you to be a member of our club, and that means that you have that subscription, and you are a long-term customer. And when your toothbrush will break down, because it will someday, we are replacing it for free, because we don't want to make a profit on you buying a new one. We want to make a profit on you making sure that your oral health and hygiene is maintained.
Wow.
Then you have the brands that are making products with planned obsolescence in mind. Products need to be cheaper, and margins need to be higher. That is a rat race that we are gonna lose. There's always someone in the whole economic process of building such a product that is not benefiting from that strategy. And that could be the manufacturer, that could be the distributor, that could be the brand, but someone's losing money. And we believe that if you pay too less, you will not benefit the people that are working in our process.
I guess it's a business model decision, meaning if it's just a one-off transactional relationship, then that leads to wanting repeat business. But in your case, you have, like you mentioned, a community, a subscription community, that is healthy for the person's, oral hygiene, as well as maintaining, quite frankly, a revenue stream that allows you to continue to operate.
Exactly. And there are instances that, for example, people drop their toothbrush. It can break because of reasons that are not within warranty. And in that case, we offer you it by a very deducted price.
Yeah.
So you can still keep on going with your new oral hygiene routine.
Yeah.
So we're not about making profit on toothbrushes. We are about making brushing more fun and accessible for everyone. And we need a profit because we are a company.
No, nice. It makes sense. It resonates a lot with me. Where can people order this? Like, is this globally available right now, or is it only in the Netherlands? Because I think you're in quite a few countries right now. But
yeah, so we're very active in Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, France, a little bit of UK. UK has gotten a bit harder due to Brexit. But we are available in all of Europe, and that's also where we want our market to be. So we're expanding country by country to multiple countries.
So me coming from the US, the people from the US listening, sorry, you're gonna have to move to Europe in order to get
exactly.
And the English as well. You're gonna have to move to Europe.
Yeah.
So
I'm not excluding the US, but at this point we're a small team, we're a startup, and we see a lot of chances in Europe. Also, Europe is known to be more of an electric brushing country than the US is. Yes. So from a market share perspective, Europe is more interesting for us at this point.
No, okay.
So in Europe, so for example, in the Netherlands, we know that a little bit more than half of all people brush their teeth electrically.
Yeah.
So there's still half a market for us to win. In the US, though, that's a little bit less. They have like 20% to 25% brushing electrically. The most are brushing by hand. So at this point, it's more commonly accepted to brush your teeth electrically. So it's an easier market for us to tell our story.
Yeah. Let's turn the page a little bit and how did you get involved in this? Meaning, I know you joined Boombrush as the managing director. Well, first, what attracted you to the opportunity, and how did that process go? Because it's not every day that you come across a sustainable subscription toothbrush organization. So how did that
happen? So one of my dear friends who also works in e-commerce started investing in a couple of startups, and Boombrush was one of them. So by that fact, I was following the brand, and I've of course started brushing with it. I used to brush with one of the bigger brands, and I was very surprised by the strength and the results I got with the Boombrush. And also, I was one of those guys that replaced its brush head like once a year. So after a couple of months, I was starting to get results. And this friend was calling me. He knew I was, at that point, not really happy with where I was working anymore. I was the e-commerce manager for Hallmark, which was a great job. No bad word about them, but I was looking for a new challenge that was a little bit less corporate. So he said, well, why don't we discuss your involvement in this Boombrush thing? Because we are, at this point, onboarding a dentist that wants to get involved, more shareholders, and we want to start accelerating growth. that's something you like and something you've done before. You're looking for a smaller company. So it was just a puzzle that came to my pot and fell at the right moment at the right place. And then I met those founders. I really like working with young people that have a lot of ambition, but need a little bit of guidance in doing the right thing at the right moment. So when I met the founders and the young people that are working in this company, I was sold on the idea.
And the dentist, if I'm remembering back to our initial interactions, this product went to the Shark Tanks. Um,
Yeah, we call it Dragon's Den in the Netherlands.
yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. What is the Dutch equivalent of that?
Yeah,
And there was an interesting story of going a different direction, because I think there was like an investment potential, and they
absolutely.
made another decision then, which might be counterintuitive to people. Can you share that story?
Yeah, we can, of
Yeah.
course. So our founders presented at this Shark Tank or Dragon's Den, and they had a clear vision on who they wanted to invest in our company. So there's two of the dragons. One is Misha Peridon, which is a big name in electronics. And then we have Peter Schoen, who is a big name in subscription-based and e-commerce. So we wanted to get them both.
Hmm.
And we presented our story, and they were both very enthusiastic, and they wanted to step in together. So, of course, that was a moment of celebration for us. Um, After Dragons, then when you start talking to them, you're going to think about like, what's my company worth? What am I prepared to give up? What's going to be their involvement? Are we actually going to get all that information and coaching and inspiration from these great entrepreneurs? And also other parties came knocking on the door saying, hey, we want to invest also. So in the end, you make a choice based on strategy, based on, of course, the financial details and the personal fit and click you have with those shareholders. And we just started working with Thomas Ritra from Losses Dentist. He's like a big dentist in the Netherlands. Well, obviously, a dentist is very interesting for us. So
It's
yeah, we just made that choice.
I think it's fascinating to, for people that might be in startup journeys, that really proceed with caution with the money that you take, because the cultural fit, the ambition of the investor, the involvement or not involvement of the investor, where the investor is going to be, making synergistic introductions or not, if they're going to be, basically demanding certain behaviors in order for certain returns. I think these
Yes.
are all things that have to be in line in order for it to actually work out, because I think you could maybe receive the money, but then it's really a poison pill that in the end just drives you bonkers.
Yeah. So like we don't want to be another e-commerce startup. We are really trying to change something here. We believe that maintaining that oral care is very important for your daily life, and should be done better. And we also believe that our whole healthcare economy is built around treating people. We shouldn't be treating people, we should be preventing treatment. So Thomas is one of the dentists that is really an advocate for this vision and mission. So we directly click with him. As we have the same vision on how oral care should be done. And the second thing here is that we also wanted to make very sure that we are delivering quality. Thomas was helping us in proving that our brush and our products are actually working. And if he, as a dentist with his whole team of dentists, is advising to use our products in his practice, well, that's like the epitome of proof that we have a good product.
Yeah. And is that
So
the
it was
norm?
both the product and the vision, and that came together.
And as far as a go to market, is it, are you typically nurturing dentists as referrals, or is it also very direct? Like is that something that you're looking for, as dentists to to recommend the product, or is that something that just happens passively?
We want that to happen passively. So
Okay.
we would say that we make a good product, and then the dentist adopts and advises, because he has to be unbiased.
Mm-hmm.
He can't have a bias of commercial goals. The commercial goals are our like our KPIs. We do sell through dentists, but you have to know that dentists are not salespersons. So
Yeah.
the
Well,
more we put into that strategy, the
right.
less we are selling. That will come a bit later after. And like I said, you see that dentist like once or twice a year. So to make it stick, we have to do some advertisement and everything else too. So no, they're not a sales strategy for us. We just want to make sure that we are making and building the right products and services for our clients, and that dentists are adopting it and advising it to theirs is a bonus. But
No,
it's
yeah.
also proof.
I guess you don't want to get into the pharmaceutical game where you're
No.
yeah, that's definitely a direction you don't want to go. Look at what about the future? Meaning, and I'm curious about you and your personal leadership journey in the future. Rolling forward the next 2 years. Can you share how many subscribers you already have, and what your ambition is?
Yeah, we're around 35,000 subscribers at this point, and
Wow,
we have
cool.
about 100,000 people brushing with Boombrush.
Yeah,
Not everyone wants a subscription. That's perfectly fine. We advise it, and we advocate it, but it's not that we
you don't require it.
make it
Yeah,
mandatory.
yeah, yeah.
Don't require it exactly. So in terms of ambition, well, like the big ambition is to have a 2% market share in all of Europe.
Okay.
So we
Wow.
don't want to be the big challenger of Oral-B or Philips. So we don't want to be anything alike. We actually don't really like them, because those are the electronics manufacturers that building the plant obsolescence and a lot of waste. And
Mm-hmm.
so we try to do something differently, and we believe that there's not a big target group for that yet. There's a small target group that really likes these enthusiastic initiatives like Boombrush.
Yeah.
So 2% in all of Europe, and that will translate in a lot of subscriptions, I can tell you.
Yeah.
For next
No,
year,
absolutely.
we are looking for doubling our subscription base.
Wow. And that will take some leadership effort. So I'm curious, um, looping back into the concept of leading from love. And I know you haven't read the book; you only recently received it, so that will be on your Christmas reading list. Um, but I'm curious for you, if you're looking at doubling the subscription base on the path to 2% market share Europe, um, and really looking at yourself. What does the word leadership mean in that? Like how is leadership going to contribute to that? So it's like how would you define leadership, and how do you apply it to yourself in this amazing journey?
So I carry the title of CEO in this company, which I find strange, because it's a very small company. I wouldn't say I'm a CEO. I call myself like a managing director. I do believe I have two important roles here. First of which is sales, because money solves all problems.
Hmm.
So sales is one of my most important roles. And second of which is development. So that's development of brand, development of strategy, but also development of people. So on a daily basis, I ask myself, like, what can I do to make my people more successful in what they want to achieve? And how can I align their personal goals with the goals we have with Boombrush? In terms of leadership, I think you have to. I'm trying to give them a vision of where we need to go. I'm hoping that they are buying into that vision, and they're buying into my enthusiasm to reach that goal. And then we work back, like what kind of steps do we need to get there? So if you want to run a marathon, then you better first learn how to walk. So we can work back, like, what do we need to learn? What do we need to do? What's your personal knowledge and character that's needed to achieve that goal? How can we make those goals collide with each other? Not collide. I would how can we make our goals in sync?
In sync, merge up. They can collide. There can be a collision
Exactly.
and a coming together.
Exactly.
I liked how you played with sales and development, and also in human development, because it's well, you know, for me, my ethos is, well, sales and revenue does solve all problems. The way to sales and revenue, of course, is through the people, the contributors, and you got to keep an eye on both of those. So if we continue to go down this leading from love with Rumi rabbit hole a little bit, and I asked you, you know, based on that ambition in that small team, and operating and engaging from a place of love, how does love, how would you define that in this context, and how does this contribute to your story?
You know, you spend 40 plus hours at your job. So I would say that a working relationship is a relationship also. And me managing people means that people and I are getting into some kind of a relationship that involves not only goals, but also involves, am I making you happy, or are you making me happy? Just as any other friendship is. So to give you an example of what I find important is, like, my team is really working on, they're very young, so they're all buying or renting their first house. So I'm helping them with that, because I know that when you have your house and your home in order, you have more room and time to focus on other things. So I make sure that that's also within my management strategy, that I make the room for them to be happy outside of work. I don't believe in, like, work-life balance in the term of, like, you should go home early and then close work and start private life. I think those should be more fun in every way and every moment. You should be happy to go to your work. If you don't, then please start doing something else. And I would be the last to say you have to keep doing this job if you don't like it. Then please leave and do what your dreams are telling you. So every person I will and have managed since my starting of my career, I always say I feel responsible for your career within and out of this company. So share with me your goals for now, within a year, 5 years, 10 years. How can we make this job, which is probably going to last for 4 to 5 years because we are changing a lot, help you realize that strategy? And then they always come like, I want to be marketing manager, this or that. Then I'll ask further, yeah, that's great, but what do you want to reach in your life? What's your personal goal? And what's your purpose? Why are you buying into this toothbrush idea and not, I don't know, iPhones or something else? So there's always a layer of personality in.
Are people surprised by that? Like, is this, and you're working with a lot of the younger generation, is this a natural conversation? Are they, like, delightfully surprised by this engagement, or is this like,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because a boss employee hierarchy is normally built in such a way that you don't feel like sharing that you have ambitions other than the job you're doing right now. So yeah, that takes a bit of time and trust to do. But it's just a reasonable fact, and we all have to consider.
Well, I loved how you said, you know, working relationship is a relationship too. I think any human interaction is a relationship in a way. And if it's a repeated interaction, then we typically call that a relationship because it's over time. And if it's a relationship, at work, and my belief is, or my knowing is, in order to grow as a human, that comes through interaction with other people, those frictions, those misunderstandings, that realization that other people work, perceive, they have different values, they have different ambitions in life. And I guess, if you're going to seek enlightenment, I guess you could just go sit under a tree your whole life. That's just not very fun for me. So, go play with people, and go play with people that are like-minded, that are choosing to work in the same type of company with the same kind of vibe. And if you don't feel like if you don't fit there, I don't think that needs to be a criticism of you or them. It's just, you're in a different place at this moment. Go find something that serves you.
Exactly.
Just, it's
And also, like, because we're talking about leading from love, so I believe that people could have the misconception that then you always have to be very friendly and politically correct. And, leading for love, from love, for me, it means that we are very honest to each other. And everything you want to discuss is open for discussion. But we do ask ourselves, are we hurting anyone by saying this? Are we doing anything wrong, or doing someone something wrong? Like, we should be able to tell each other everything. We do it in such a way that it is polite, of course, but everything should be on the table. So I've had people come and say, "Well, Steve, listen, I'm just not digging this job anymore. I don't like it anymore." Like, that's something you should be able to say.
Yeah. And then have that discussion, like, okay, well,
yeah,
what can change? What do we do?
Yeah.
How do we navigate that?
How do we fix it? Yeah.
I think there's also in, let's call it, that brutal openness, that transparency. I think it also, in order for that to work, people need to have a basis of self-care, self-reflection, self-respect. Because because sometimes if somebody is operating out of extreme fear and anxiety, that's where they are, then it can be very inappropriate, I feel, sometimes, to be too they just need a different handling at that moment. And then once they get to a different place, then loop back and have that conversation at the appropriate time. But it's no, and you've been playing
It's
around.
funny you should say that, because there's a layer of, I think there's a little layer of self improvement in what I do in my management. So I always ask people, like, I try to give them the mirror of, this is what you do and this is the effect it's giving.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about the effect? And most of the times they would say, well, I would rather have another effect.
Yeah.
So then logically you have to change the way you do something. And that doesn't come intuitively. So you have to test new ways of achieving a certain goal. And sometimes behavior is very deep rooted. But I really try to encourage people to slightly try to look at some things from another perspective.
Yeah.
Than the one they've learned from child off.
Yeah. Well, behavior is rooted as deep as we are. Meaning your behavior is a response to a thought, and your thought is a response to some values, some deep beliefs, and oftentimes the behavior, particularly if they're not, able to emotionally regulate themselves, and they feel like harmed, injured, disrespected, then the reaction based on an assumption, based on a deep held value, can definitely have the wrong effect. And and then say, hey, why did you feel compelled to do that? And in positive, in a lot of times I think people also, trying to solve a problem or whatever, they do it, from their perspective, their context, their understanding of the world. And sometimes people behave very oddly, and you're like, well, help me understand, what
drove you to this?
Yeah, because what I oftentimes find is, if someone says something to me, and I'm thinking of a certain dinner I had recently, they said something to me that actually then it really triggered an emotion in me, like yeah, fucker, like how, and then after a brief moment of time, I was like, I want, and then we had the conversation. It's like, why did you say that? Because I had a reaction, but I have no idea what your motivation for saying that was. And it was obviously it was something completely that I could never even have known. But being able to have that relationship to get through the emotional reaction quick, be able to vocalize it. Hey, that made me uncomfortable, that the effect of that behavior was not desired by me. What was going on there? And he's like, oh, actually, I had this other experience on those same keywords, and I was like, okay, so that has nothing to do with actually the stream of consciousness that I was on. And I just felt sort of invaded. But
Exactly.
you have to have that space to feel the feeling, because that's valid and true, but then also be able to talk about it. And if you ask me, as quickly as possible, unless somebody's really in, let's just call it fear. If they're just in the wrong place and they're not able to engage, then wait. But
yeah, it's interesting. Like, fear is very dangerous. I find fear. So I ask myself every day, did I do or do not do something today out of fear? And ask myself how I can correct it the next time, because like, fear is a very important reaction to an instinct feeling we get, but it doesn't always help us in achieving our goals in terms of work or personal ambition.
it can perhaps keep you safe for the short term.
Exactly, but not for the long.
No, when you get to the book, there's two main premises in that. One is the internal guidance system, your own intuition, because that will tell you if you're on the right path or not. Like if you're doing something out of love, out of appreciation, out of human connection. And for me, the times when your emotional GPS are not serving you is when it's based on fear. And so if you are in a period of fear and anxiety, and then making decisions on that, there's a high chance that you're going off track. And by track, meaning whatever, what is your ambition? Where do you want to go? Where do you want to play? What do you want to create? And then the other part of it is not my term, but it's I picked up from along the way. Like, just a question: what would love do right now? Like in that moment of interaction, when something really positive happens or really negative, in both cases, like, what's the most loving thing I can do for myself and for that person? And it gives me just so much peace, such a tremendous amount of peace. So, Steve, we played around a little bit with Rumi, and you looked at a few Rumi quotes, and I'm curious. What we said to ourselves is, let's go through the conversation, see what kind of rabbit holes we get into, and then see what emerges. So have you settled on a Rumi quote that is triggering you positively right now?
Yes. So what really got me going is, like, what you seek is seeking you. And there's a couple of reasons that is I don't know, coming up to me, because first of all, I've never found a purpose or job because I was searching for it. I just ran into one and thought, yeah, this is wrong. We should fix this. As far as my career, my young career, I guess, goes, I've never made a bad decision based on what was coming across my path. And the thing is that a lot of opportunities come across your path daily, but you don't act on all of them. You find one that says to you, well, this should be done. This should be adopted. And that's what's been working for me for the past, I don't know, 15 years. Like, no one would have told that about 10 years ago I would be the director for some toothbrush startup. No one. I think even if people were able to place a bet on that, they would bet against it.
Well, a couple of years ago, who would have said a toothbrush startup would exist? Like, it just wouldn't even be.
Exactly. Exactly. So, but then the purpose came up, and like, oh, but we're fixing this and we're fixing that. And
well, let me grab on that. What you seek is seeking you. Implied in the first half of that statement is, I believe, you know what you're seeking. there is an intentionality here. I think there is a, maybe your manager has had that conversation with you at some point and said, hey, where do you hoping to achieve in this thing called life? You've got this run. So do you feel that what you seek is seeking you is based on, and I'm not saying like get that job, but there's some sort of experience life this way, for example,
So
figuring out how to filter all those opportunities that come every day. I want that one and not those 99.
Exactly. So like the filtering of what opportunity is the one you should jump into, that should be based on purpose. You should really dig into the purpose. But yeah, I've had managers that told me like, Steve, so what are your goals? What do you want to do? And I was like a 21-year-old sales guy wearing a very slick cut suit, and I wanted to be very successful. That's what I was. So I wanted to drive a Beamer and have a big watch and that were my goals. And you can't blame a 21-year-old guy that just came out of economic college.
Yeah.
But if I look back to it, those were never my goals.
What is your purpose?
I want to be satisfied every day knowing that I didn't do this whole day for me, but that I also did something for someone else. I want to give at least as much as I receive. So I start by giving, and I ask myself, I would say on a daily basis, like, what can I do for other people around me today to make their life a little bit better? And I've started doing this about 8 years ago. And since I've done that, that has become the most valuable purpose on a daily basis. At this point, for Boombrush and what I'm doing right now in my life, my purpose is to be a great manager, of course, for my team, to build this brand to what it should be, and to tell the story about the importance of prevention instead of treatment. So that's the longer, midterm purpose. And in the long-term purpose, well, I think I want what everyone else wants. I just want to be happy.
In the end, I think that's what's driving us all. It's
and
satisfaction, meaning.
The interesting thing is that I used to think that happiness was a goal, and that you had to get there, but it's not a goal. It's in your daily life, and the thing with purpose is that it changes through. I'm approaching 40 now, so I'm starting to think I'm an old man now. But the purpose has changed so much since those younger years.
Of course.
And I realize now that happiness is not in what I'm trying to achieve. Happiness is in the road that we are traveling every day. Having the right people around you, being able to give and care, and being able to do the things you love and like, and be satisfied with what you have delivered every day. So it's far more a daily basis thing than a strategic, we want to reach this goal thing.
No, but I also believe approaching life based on your purpose will result, the outcome will be something that's also delightful, so I think it's
exactly,
in the end, it's obviously it will serve you if you're being true to yourself.
I've seen so many people tripping while chasing a goal and forgetting to look around, that the road to that goal is also very interesting and full of a lot of lessons, and especially full of a lot of happiness.
Yeah, beautiful. So what you seek is seeking you. Steve Koopmans from Boombrush. You can find that at boombrush.com. I believe. Boombrush.com.
Yes.
Check it out there. It'll be in the show notes. I will also put Steve's LinkedIn link there. So if you want to reach out to him, you can find them at boombrush.com or on LinkedIn. Steve Koopmans, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a delight.
Thank you for listening. Visit ebullient.com. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite player.